everyone, and welcome to Heart and Hand Extra, the second weekly free show from us here in Heart and Hand Towers. And joining me to discuss another big week, they seem to be just every week is a big week at the moment for Rangers, and long may that continue, is my good friend Mr. Alex Staff. Hello, Alex.
Hi there, David. How you doing? 1
foot in the Europa League group stages, my friend, and I will be honest and say that to me this was... yes, I'll dust it down, let's hit the cliche alert pretty early, beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm not exaggerating. I did not think for 1 minute at the start of this season that we would be sitting here on this date with Rangers having 1 foot in the Europa League.
No, neither did I. I think we said stuff, on the Patreon site. There was a preview show, if you remember, season preview show. I think we touched on it there, how, third round would have been great or such like, or making the playoff round would be really good. Not many people were holding out much hope for the groups, and yet here we are. See if you actually just take a second to step back and consider the turnaround from the end of last season to the start of this. It's that in itself is unreal, never mind, the achievements that are coming with it. If this had just been 10 league games that we'd had, seen this sort of turnaround in, it would have been amazing, never mind what it's potentially going to give us in Europe.
If I can just stat you up for a minute, and as always, folks, if these stats are in any way erroneous, then please feel free to tell me on the old social medias. I'm sure you will. But first one, Alex, is that of the 700 plus sides who have entered the Europa League in the first qualifying round since 2009, as I say, well over 700, a grand total of 8 have made it. 5 clubs, but 8 teams, or 8 occasions that a team has made it all the way from the first round into the Europa League proper. Now, there have been certain changes, such as teams who drop out of the Champions League going in a bit later, seeded teams, if you knock one out, you then get their seeding effectively, and because the draw's been made a couple of weeks in advance. That is true, and it therefore is potentially easier, but that's hardly the fault of any of our teams. Now, there are 8 teams this year who could do it, but only 2 won last night, one of which being us. And 8 sides out of over 700. I was going to say this is rare. This is not rare. This is rocking horse shit. This does not happen that often. This is something truly special. If Rangers do it, we still have, of course, 90 minutes to negotiate. But we're on the verge of something really, really big. Maybe bigger than I think that we are allowing.
It is bigger than we're allowing because of the nature of it. We haven't really struggled, if you get my meaning. Osijek and Maribor are very good is maybe a bit much. Good teams. They weren't easy ties. They're not the sort of games that, in our situation we should have just been expecting to win. We had to work hard to do so. So we've played it down because we've done so well. It's not felt like anyone's really scared us or challenged us so far. And I think that's maybe why we're playing it down, but it is, as you say, just sheer statistics alone will tell you how difficult it is. It's not set up for teams that enter in qualifying round 1 to make it to the group stages.
No.
It's just not. We're supposed to, and obviously it's a situation in Scotland over the past 7 years is kind of drove it to this, but we're not supposed to get this far, really.
No.
That's how UEFA have set this up. So yeah, but as you say, we're on the verge of doing that. You mentioned 8 teams, David. I actually think technically it's 7 because I'm pretty sure 2 of them are playing each other.
Ah, right. Well, there you go. Well, so one's guaranteed through then, I suppose. There'll definitely one more that's getting through.
Definitely one more, yeah. But yeah, obviously, if somehow I don't think results went for most of them last night, as you mentioned. So you've got at least one. I think we were the only other ones to win our game, and the rest it's looking like a bit of a struggle. It just shows you how difficult it is, and add to that the fact that our league's already started as well. The schedule's just nuts.
Yes, it is, and that's the thing. The games have been coming so thick and fast, and obviously there's the concern that it'll have an effect at the latter part of the season. But that's a problem I want. That's a problem I want to be looking forward to. And another one that should be mentioned is that in 10 competitive matches under Steven Gerrard, Rangers, of course, now rather famously have been behind for a grand total of no minutes. But in 900 competitive minutes under Steven Gerrard, plus probably about another 45 minutes, say, of injury time, etc., Rangers have conceded less goals than we did at Easter Road in 90 minutes in May. So that shows you where the transformation has occurred.
It definitely does, yeah. For an article earlier today, I was just doing a little bit of comparison, it was almost a curiosity just to kind of put it in. And in the last 10 competitive matches of last season, we conceded 22 goals. Now, on average, you would say that the quality of the opposition was slightly higher at best, possibly just comparable actually. But the difference there is absolutely clear. That's huge. 4 goals conceded in 10 matches. You take that at any time in the season, never mind when you've just put a relatively young and inexperienced squad together and asked them to play that amount of matches in such a short space of time. It's brilliant. It's really, really brilliant. And that's why we should be encouraged. This isn't something that we're jumping the gun or letting ourselves get carried away. These are genuinely impressive statistics, and that's why we've got every right to be quite encouraged by what we've seen so far.
Last night, Rangers took on Ufa, the Russian side, who had knocked out our old foes Progrès in the last round, and I think Ufa had made very little secret of the fact that they were coming to Ibrox to defend in depth, which they did. Started with a 4-5-1, which really very quickly and very often became a 4-6-0, and their attacking ambition was limited, I thought, to possibly trying to nick something on the counter, and even at that they didn't appear that enthusiastic, which we'll come to when we get to the last 10 minutes of the match. But Rangers obviously had the majority of the play, but in the first half I don't think we quite hit the standards that we have been recently. The manager certainly felt that way. He felt at half time that we hadn't really got ourselves going in the way that we would like as an attacking sense. One great chance for Alfredo Morelos after a wonderful inch perfect pass, a real FIFA pass from Connor Goldson, which Alfie kind of nodded tamely at the goalkeeper. But to be fair to Alfie, I think he had in fact just been clattered just before that, and I think he was still sort of getting over that. But just before half time, roles were reversed. Corner swung in by Ryan Kent, up went Alfie, keeper palmed his header away, it fell right to the feet of Connor Goldson, who stabbed it home. 1-0 up at half time, and we did improve second half. I thought Rangers were much better second half, but again, maybe in the last third just didn't quite have the quality or find something that would fall to us on the night. But again, apart from 1 minute after we scored where Alan McGregor's made a great save, and then the shot just over from the rebound, they didn't threaten us at all. We always looked like getting minimum 1-0, and once you've scored, for me last night, I would have loved a second, but a second goal would have been nice. A clean sheet was essential, was my take on it. And had you said to me at half time, you won't score again, but you'll keep a clean sheet, I'd probably have taken that.
Yeah, definitely. You'd rather go away 1-0 than 2-1. Yeah, because the advantage is ours now in terms of the away goals. And even if they somehow sneak, I'm being slightly disrespectful here, but even if they somehow sneak a 1-0 win against us and take it to extra time, we've still got that advantage in our favour. So yeah, it was most important not to concede last night. We got the goal. We'll force them to come out. It's their first defeat in their European games, so they'll have to do something different from what they've been doing up until now. It's pretty clear that they like to have as many bodies as possible behind the ball and see what happens. That's their style of play. That seems to be what it is. And last night for me was about a little bit of luck. We never quite got, the ball wouldn't fall at certain times. There was a couple of scrambled, we tried a through ball and it almost came off and things like that. And then if you consider the biggest bit where luck went against us were the penalty decisions. One of which, the one in Candace, to me was an absolute stone waller. And the one in Middleton, we got a little bit unlucky with the way the decision went as well. So, not a guaranteed goal, a penalty, but the way Tav's been scoring them, a pretty high chance that he's going in. If we'd come away from that 2-0 with the exact same performance and just got one of those penalty decisions, people would have felt a lot better about it. I feel as though the reactions have been swayed by the fact that it was only the one goal.
And again, that's the expectation. The manager said himself, actually, that he was a little disappointed with his players, but maybe it's just, they've spoiled him. That was a phrase he used in terms of his expectations because of the performances he's been putting in. Because this is a good result. This is a good result, and make no bones about it. It's the fourth round. Okay, an unheralded side, but they got there. That something has worked for them to get to this stage. So I was pleased with the result. As you say, now in the ground at the time, we do a post-match show immediately after, and I do mean the second that I'm back at my little studio after the match from Ibrox, and I said that the Candace one I didn't think was a penalty. Watched the game back this morning. You're absolutely correct. It was an absolute stonewaller. And the other one was a fairly harsh decision as well. Kyle Lafferty gets pulled up for the handball, because I think the referee didn't really make that clear from where I was sitting. I was in the governed stand, and he didn't really make that clear. So my thing at the time was, well, if it's not a penalty, it's got to be a booking, because he's dived, or you think he's dived. But he had awarded a free kick for a handball by Kyle Lafferty, which I felt was very harsh indeed. So I do think we've got the right to be slightly miffed, but it was in keeping with a performance from the referee that I thought was quite weak, because Ufa, while not, we're not talking Motherwell levels of thuggery or anything, they weren't, going over the top constantly or, catching our players late, but they were very much tactically, I think, part of their approach was niggly fouls. Break up the game constantly. Do not allow this team to get any momentum. Do not allow them to get the fans, at the edge of the seats kind of thing. Don't let them build up ahead of steam. And to do that, one of the tactics they employed was that they will continually, little pullbacks, little nicks, just, slightly late. Not enough that if you look at each individual case on its own that you would go, oh, that's a stonewall yellow card. But just through sheer accumulation and game management. And we spoke to Cammy, one of our podders who regular listeners will know is a qualified referee, and he said it comes down to game management, whereas a referee, you're not stupid, or you shouldn't be. You should see, oh, they're trying this. And he said what you do is you issue one booking, maybe a slightly harsh one for the individual foul, but in the context of the match, or a guy who's made his second foul, you take aside and say, right, and you say to the captain, I know what you're doing, and you're not going to get away with it. But because they were, and quite rightly, it was their tactic, they were going to push that as far as they could before the ref stepped in. The fact that he didn't meant that they just kept doing it, and it did make it a very bitty game, I thought.
Yeah, it did. It broke the game up, and that was where I think that this is maybe where we underappreciated our performance last night, because the team kept their patience. They didn't get too frustrated. They were a little bit annoyed that things weren't falling for them. They were certainly annoyed that cards weren't being produced by the referee. Quite how he's managed to allow, now I'm pretty sure the left side of their kind of back three centre halves must have had at least 5 or 6 fouls against Morelos in the first half. He must have had a number, yet never saw a booking. Kyle Lafferty was on the pitch, 3 minutes? And got booked, and the referee quite clearly put his fingers up to say, that's been 2, here's your yellow card. And that just added to the frustration, because you were like, well, if accumulation of fouls is a thing, then where the hell have you been?
Yes.
All game. Because it was as if he had, for the first half, some sort of bet on for 0 yellow cards or something.
It was exactly what it was like, because there were 2 or 3 where you're just like, they're stonewall yellow cards, and it's just, right, come on, mate. I get you maybe don't want to be one of these refs that's flashing the cards or whatever, and I don't agree with, but I always understand referees that seem to have this rule in their head that not in the first 20 minutes. But when it was, foul, 30 seconds of play, foul, 30 seconds of play, foul, then you think, come on, this is part of your job. This isn't a big European match. You're supposed to be an elite ref. Do your frigging job. And it was the old, have you forgot your cards? Feeling going round the stand, because, as you say, then Kyle Lafferty comes on. I thought harsh booking, I really did. And as you say, the ref seemed to indicate for persistent fouling, which was 2. And yet there were defenders on the field that had a crime count of about 6 or 7 fouls, and it didn't help us. And then obviously the penalty decisions are big decisions, but I thought Rangers, we didn't look in trouble at any point, bar, as I say, one bizarre minute when clearly the adrenaline was just pumping throughout the stand. And one thing I thought towards the end of the match, Alex, and obviously I was grateful, but there was a moment, one of the most glorious examples of time wasting that was so flagrant actually it did bring a booking from our rather lenient referee, which was the UFA midfielder was lying prone in the box just in front of Alan McGregor after an attack had broken down, and he looked in real serious bother. Alan McGregor didn't think so. The ref went up to check, and when the ref went up and I assume thought, no, you're faking it, told him to get up, the boy sprang to his feet like a fucking Olympic runner coming off from the starting gun, and it was so flagrant the ref just went, no, you're trying to take the piss, and booked him for sheer chutzpah. So it was a strange tactic from them that I thought, you really need an away goal, and you don't seem to realise this, because they're clearly thinking, 1-0 we'll do it, and look, fair play, if they turn it round then I'm the idiot, and they got their tactic right. But I didn't see anything from this lot that says you can't score over there and they will definitely score against you. So if I'd been UFA, I'd have been going, right lads, also the tension in the stadium, they should have read that a bit better and thought, if we can put some pressure on in the last 5 minutes, you never know. And they didn't do it. And as I say, when I saw them time waste in the last few minutes, I was just thinking, it's your time you're wasting, lads.
Yeah, I mean, frustration for us because we wanted that second goal, but as you say, we've come away from that, and now we've got the away goal, the only team that can score an away goal advantage now. So I've got a bit of a theory on that one, actually, David. I reckon that guy was as good as dead, and it was a touch of Shagger that's woke him up.
A Jesus-style resurrection.
Yeah, just that gentle caress that gets everyone going, you know. I think it was probably something along those lines. In all seriousness, it was, you know, as you say, it was kind of comical. Just that was a game plan. They were time wasting from about 5 minutes in. There was a shot that went wide, and their goalkeeper took so long to take a goal kick, and I just thought, this is going to be one of those nights. Going into the game, you know, people were quite confident, and rightly so. I was a bit more, I think this will be a bit tighter, and we'll win it 2-0. But you know, you could tell straight away it was like a league game. You know, so many league games that we've seen at Ibrox over the years, where it's, you know, every man behind the ball, maybe try and nick something with a set piece or a counter attack, as you say, and just, you know, goalkeeper taking goal kicks from the other side and try and wind up the crowd. When you consider how young our squad is, as I said earlier, it was really quite good to see that they were mature enough to just keep going and not get annoyed by it.
No, they did really well, and as you say, for a young side that don't have a lot of European experience, I thought that they handled that tremendously well. Now, we mentioned the Ulster Gazelle, the boy from the back skull is back, much to the excitement of the aforementioned Cammy, came on at the end, and you know, didn't do an awful lot, but what impressed me about Kyle Lafferty was he just looks a better player. And I'll preface this by saying this is entirely on feel rather than evidence-based at the moment. But there were things he was doing where he just instantly went back into midfield when they needed protection, where he instantly backed up his teammates, that he didn't do in his first spell, where, you know, we all know Kyle had some great skills but was quite capable of wandering about on the left wing waiting for the ball to come to him. Whereas I thought, no, you're a more complete player, you're a more rounded player. Still, at one point got the ball and you could tell he was shooting, and that's fair enough. But I did think you can see what you'll bring to the team is probably what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you can. It was interesting last night. He came on, as you say, largely played wide right to an extent, although he was given a bit more freedom to get into the box, and maybe Candace was earlier before him. And he worked quite hard, done a good job. You can see it's been a big 24 hours. It was a bit much for us all to expect, you know, huge things from him, because it's been a busy couple of days. But I think he'll bring quite a bit. He's essentially a replacement for Windass, isn't he?
Yes.
And at this stage in his career, is more rounded player than Windass, and he's as capable of scoring goals and potentially more capable of scoring big goals. Certainly in recent seasons suggest that. So good signing in that respect, absolutely, and will add loads to the squad. And comes in, sounds as though it's relatively cheap as well. I know it was undisclosed fee, but it doesn't sound as though it was a lot. So I think everybody can be happy with that signing.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree, and it was good to see him back. And Rangers kept a clean sheet, as I say, got through a game. A couple of guys I want to pick out because there has been, shall we say, online a little bit of debate about the relative merits of two players in particular who I thought had good games, who the manager picked out as having good games as well. And if Stevie G says it, you know me, I'm nothing if not a slavish devotee of the Scouse genius. But I thought Ovie Ejaria was the man of the match. I thought he was the best player on the park last night, partly because I think, and I'll be interested to hear what the more kind of tactically minded people think of it, but I thought that Scott Arfield had one of his quieter matches, bar some lovely flicks in and around the box, because he was double marked constantly. And my view from the stand and watching back this morning reinforced it, was that Ufa's tactic, they'd identified Arfield as the most dangerous midfielder, and they were more happy to let Ejaria have the ball. But I thought Ejaria then used the extra space really well and had his most complete match for us.
Yeah, he did. He moved the ball quickly, or as quickly as he could each time. Every pass was at least looking forward. If something wasn't on, he was happy to keep it by sideways or backwards, but he was always looking to get forward on it. There was a couple of times where, much like some other players I'm sure you're about to come on to with the second one, he would take people on, he'd beat them, but just the sheer weight of numbers in front of him was eventually kind of crowding him out. There was one chance in the second half where if he could have just got that shot away, it would have been interesting, because he'd beaten about 3 players to get in a great position. I thought he was good last night. I've kind of liked him. I think he's got a style that some people just don't take to. But on the flip side of that, there's others who take to it a bit too much, if you get my meaning. So some guys just look at, some people see, oh, he's really composed in the ball, whereas others will see he's slowing the play down too much. Or some will see, oh, he attempted that forward pass, didn't come off, but at least he's trying something. The other person sees he's gave the ball away again. He's just one of those guys that's going to split people. You just see how you see the game makes a big difference to it. This is where, when you're having these debates, it's difficult. You're not going to really change your mind on one or the other usually, and it's why things like statistics and stuff are starting to come in to these debates, because it helps clear a lot up. But yeah, Gerrard was effusive in his praise last night. He hasn't been so far, and even in his praise, he was saying, we've seen little flashes. He's maybe had a good half here or there. So he's not. We can't just put this down to, oh, it's a Liverpool kid and he's just being a bit biased talking up the Liverpool kid. I don't think it's that at all. I think he was genuine, and it has been always genuine in what he said. So I think we can rule that out. Ejaria, in his mind, had a really good game last night. It's really that simple. And if he says it, then who am I to argue?
Yeah, that's my take at the moment. Until I get reason not to, I always trust the managers. As I say, up until they prove that I have been too kind in that.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, I think, about Ejaria. He actually, now I'm not comparing the level of ability, right? I'm just talking about as a very easy and quick comparison. He reminds me of the way that Paul Pogba polarises opinion, because of that sort of, if you like, languid gait. And as you say, that the fact that they constantly try stuff, when something doesn't come off, they can look like they don't care. And look, there are times when I'll watch Paul Pogba, and I'm a huge Paul Pogba fan, but there are times I'll watch him and I think the Gary Neville criticism of you play like you're 3-0 up is valid. And he can give off that air of, I'm not really bothered if we win or lose this. It doesn't bother me. Now, I don't think Ejaria does that, but I think he does have that same sort of, as I say, he doesn't look like a, your wee guy with a low centre of gravity that belts about 100 miles an hour constantly, that you can see the physical application of what he's doing. Might not actually do anything, but there's an awful lot of effort
Yeah,
to cover that. Whereas I think Ajaria, because he is that sort of calmer, more composed guy, at times can look like he's not doing anything. But again, I also think it's 10 games, it's 10 games. And really, let's not kid ourselves, it's 10 games into this boy's career at a decent level.
Yeah.
So you'll need a settling in period, and it's about what's he going to do for us for the season, and is he growing into the role? I would say yeah.
Yeah, I think that's your 10 games point. There's a really good point, because he made some appearances from the bench for Liverpool. I think he maybe started a League Cup match or something. I can't quite remember. Last season, he's made 11 appearances for Sunderland, and we all know what they were like last season. This is this boy's first real experience of seriously competitive, starting matches at this level, being asked to be, rather than just a young player being given a chance, he's been asked to be one of the main men in the team. And he's made 10 appearances in the space of 5-6 weeks. He's not came close to this before yet at the age of 20. No way. So I think that really should be borne in mind. And to do as well as he done last night on the back of this sort of run, that's impressive. That suggests the boy's going to have a good career. It's funny you mentioned Pogba, because before he was signed, Ajaria, when you were reading about Ajaria, you did see people comparing him to him in terms of style. So I think you're spot on there. I think he's just that look about him. If he was that talented, then we'd be on to a winner. But he's got that look. But it doesn't mean he's snapping into tackles last night and winning slide tackles, all that sort of stuff. I certainly think the boy puts a shift in every time. It's just that some people will never take to that style of player.
Him and Ryan Kent both actually last night, and I've been impressed actually in all their games, because the sort of willowy looking player like Big Govey, I think, can sometimes look quite lazy, and then he does make tackles. Doesn't always do them properly, but he does make them, and he does always get involved in the pressing. And there were a couple of times last night where, when a long ball was being put through, I looked in the box, Goldson and Katic would go and deal with it, and the other guy there, just in case, was Ovie Ajaria.
Yeah.
And Kent as well, who is, you're right, the other player I was referring to, I thought had a decent match last night, but I noticed an awful lot of shade being thrown on online. But they work their nuts off, and I was saying that last night to my friend at the game. I was saying, they both really work, and you don't always expect that from youngsters come for the EPL. And then I thought, Jurgen Klopp, of course you should.
Yeah. I mean, they've been brought through a good system there, and I don't think Liverpool would have kept them to this stage if they were, naturally lazy players. The work rate was probably a minimum that they'd have been looking for, especially when Klopp came in and then started to assess things. There's also Kent for me last night. It was he was beating players for fun at times, but the problem was there was so many behind the ball all the time that it was really, really difficult for him to get anywhere. You couldn't even hit that team in a break last night, because they barely put enough bodies forward for you to do that. And if there was a bit more space to play in the sort of form Kent was in last night, I think he'd have had a really good game. As it was, he had a good game. It was interesting to note Gerrard saying about his tactical ability, because that's something that does go amiss, just goes slightly under the radar. But the amount of times he seems to read a loose pass, or just be in the right position to force a player to go back away or such like, it's very, very useful for a wide player like that. So yeah, I think both Ajaria and Kent have done fine. I guess part of it is that sometimes the fans only really remember, or some fans only really remember, great performances, and a constant, consistent 7 out of 10 maybe just doesn't quite do it for them. But that's where I think they've been. I don't think they've played poorly in any match, really, at all. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some others, maybe people disagree on that. But I think it's always been a kind of 6 or 7 out of 10 from them. And hopefully we're just waiting on them. They've got more to come, because they're just starting. So
yeah, I haven't been angry at any of the displays. I mean, want more, sure, but no, I haven't at any point thought, get him off, he's terrible. There's been matches where I've said, you should maybe take Ajaria on, get a more defensive player, get extra legs or whatever. But no, I've never been screaming at the manager to get that idiot off, kind of thing. It hasn't happened with these two.
The only time I can think about it was Maribor away for about 5 minutes. Jerry gave a ball away one time, and then he get beat wide one time for them to create a chance, and you kind of thought, oh, okay, his legs look a bit gone. And we did make the sub.
He did, he get subbed, Ross McCrory come on.
He got subbed about 2 minutes after all that, so it was recognised. So, yeah, as you say, there's never been a game where you've watched 45 minutes and thought, how the hell are they still on the pitch or anything like that? Which, for guys just starting out in their Rangers careers, pretty good going.
Yeah, and like I say, I left the stadium quite happy with that result. I do think we'll have enough about us. I do think we'll score over there, Alex, and I do think if we do, they're not scoring 3 against us.
No, they're not. No, they don't have that about them at all. They are very physical, strong. Couple of decent players. The two that they kind of used up front. I used that loosely for the way they played last night.
Yeah.
The boy that they call Sly, and I think the other one, the number 19, the boy who resurrected himself from the dead in the last minute. They've certainly got some ability, but they're not hugely threatening, certainly not in the evidence of last night. So, as I said, they hadn't lost any of the other games. They could always play for a draw in their other matches. The one that they won was against Progress at home when they won that 2-1. So they've got a bit of a slightly different challenge this time. Let's see how they approach it. There's every chance they do exactly the same for 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Keep it at 0-0 and then try and sneak something towards the end.
Yep.
They would take penalties if you offered them it right now.
I see a lot of, believe it or not, I was sitting last night and I used the phrase Waltonaccio.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely seen elements of that in their game. So I think it kind of behoves us to get on the front foot. Different to what we did in Maribor, for example. Not all guns blazing, but to go into this and say, right lads, attack them, see what they've got here, see what if their fans push them on, because I do think that there will be an element of that. But before we come to that match, we have an important league match on Sunday afternoon, 12:15 kickoff at Fir Park, Rangers taking on Motherwell. The build-up has been, I suppose, dominated would be the tabloid term, by comments by the Motherwell captain Peter Hartley, who somehow managed to become the most dislikable Hartley in Scottish football, which is no small achievement, with his comments as regards to Motherwell's well-known physicality. He was speaking about the incident last season when Bowman broke Fabio Cardoso's nose with an elbow, which a few of us, me included, thought was deliberate. He said, yes, it was fun to watch the boy weeping after that happened, and immediately there was a lot of criticism of this comment. The new compliance officer has let it be known that she will look into this comment, not really sure which looking needs done. And almost immediately he issued an apology. Quite clearly the club, I think, had told him to. Look, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I've made jokes in the past about, that guy's wearing a bandage, maybe, give him a dunt and test it. But I do think there is a difference between doing that and then, making a joke about something like that as a fan, and then revelling as a professional in another player's injury, which was caused deliberately by one of your players, and then saying that you actually took pleasure in watching a guy lying there having had his nose broke after an assault. I don't think that's particularly decent behaviour in any walk of life, to walk past someone who's lying injured after having fallen and to walk by and go, oh, that's brilliant, look at you, yeah, you're sore after you broke your leg, you cunt. I think that there are levels of decency that you expect from professional footballers and also from your club captain who's out representing you. And to be fair to Motherwell, they clearly did as well and felt he'd fell short of it.
Yes, now, people seem to have forgotten about this, but Peter Hartley is the man who said last season, if Alfredo Morelos wants a square go after the match, I'm up for it, before the semi-final. That seems to have been kind of missed in all of this. This isn't his first time making kind of strange comments along those lines. So he's obviously just one of those guys who thinks football is about that, the physical side of things, he revels and all that sort of stuff. And as you say, we've all made kind of jokes at times and such like, but that one, we're not, we get to do that as fans. We're not the ones sitting behind the camera making those sort of comments and representing the whole club. So it was stupidity. I quite liked the way Steven Gerrard dealt with it today. I know some fans are maybe a little bit frustrated by it. What was your take on that, David?
Well, for those who maybe haven't seen the press conference yet, Steven Gerrard said, we accept his apology and we move on. We accept that there's physicality in the game, but we need the referee to be aware of it and protect it, protect players and not allow it to overstep the mark, which I thought was absolutely correct. I guarantee you he'll be using it as a motivating force for his players. He also said, we knew we had to get the physicality levels at Rangers stepped up, because we saw last season, even from the outside looking in, we saw that teams could get joy against Rangers by being overly physical. I thought he handled it quite correctly, put it back onto the referee, he played it down a little. To me, Alex, it's Motherwell clearly revel in this reputation, well-deserved reputation they have as animals, and this is not just Rangers fans, incidentally. You speak to Celtic, Hearts, Hibs, other team fans, they will tell you that in a way that I genuinely don't even think Aberdeen, for example, are violent. I think that they are aggressive, and I think that they are quite capable of wind-ups and things like that. But I don't think, with the exception of Stevie May on Ryan Jack, which was clearly a personal thing, I don't think the Aberdeen players necessarily go out of their way to try and do the opposition. I do think Motherwell players do. I think they revel in that Wimbledon style crazy gang. We might not be good at football, but we can give you a compensatory kicking to make up for it, and anyone who complains about it is a snowflake kind of thing. It's very regressive, it's very reductive, it's very 1970s, and like I say, it clearly comes from the manager, and I think that they do take an element of pride in it, which not for me, not the kind of football I like. I like teams that want to play football. I like a team that can battle, absolutely. I like a team that have balls and will go out there and will go toe to toe. But there is a difference, I think, between wanting to play on the edge of physicality and make sure you're strong and turn games into a battle, and wanting to see opposition players leave the park on a stretcher. I'm of that opinion as well, actually. When it comes to Motherwell, I've said that a couple of times last season. They cross the line between physical and dirty. It's just they cross that line, and they don't seem to have any sort of sympathy or anything for anyone else in that respect. It's just, this is how we're going to do it, and you're going to have to deal with it. It's why I got so frustrated after the semi-final last season, when a lot of the complaints were, we let ourselves get bullied. That wasn't bullied in the physical sense of football. That was assault at times in that game. Certainly what happened to Cardoso was, and there was other moments of it as well. The reason I asked you earlier, David, about Gerrard's reaction was because I feel as though if Graham Murphy says those exact same words, it's not taken in the same way. And the reason for that is the whole action speaking louder than words thing. Steven Gerrard gets to say that because he has built a team that you have confidence in, that are going to be able to handle a physical approach. And he's been quite open about that and said that, that this was one of the things he had to sort. Whereas Graham Murphy was keeping Bruno Alves, one of the few players that we had last season that could handle that, on the bench to play Russell Martin. So, I found that just a lot of fans out there were like, screw forgiving him, let's go out and do them and all that. We can't afford that nonsense, even if we wanted to. Right? Got a stretched thin squad as it is. We don't need any more red cards, frankly. That's not the way to go about it. I just thought that his answer was really good and really smart as well, as you said, because he very quickly turned that into, for every team the referee needs to be on top of these things, and made it sound as though it wasn't that big a deal with Motherwell, but reading between the lines, he's really saying this lot are at it, and you should be kept an eye on. Yeah, and they are, and like I say, they take pride in it, they revel in it. Clearly, it's something that is obviously spoken about in the Motherwell dressing room, is something that they want to do. I think that there is that. I think it comes from the manager, and I think it comes down to, we're not that good at football, but if we get the other team riled up and fearful and a couple carried off, then we can take advantage of that. And look, Rangers do need to be strong enough to cope with that. I don't doubt that for a second. As I say, I loved the team of the late 80s and the 90s, that if you wanted to play football, we would beat you at football. If you wanted a right scrap, they would win that scrap and then they would beat you at football. And that's what Rangers need to be able to do. But as you say, there is a line between we are going to give you a right physical game and we are going to cheat by trying to injure your players. And that to me is not a line that I like any football team to cross. We romanticise Wimbledon now these days as a sort of plucky upstart team. I was about when Wimbledon were doing what they did. They were fucking hated. Everyone hated them. They were terrible to watch. They were terrible to play against. They injured really good players and took them out of football for a while. So this idea that it's somehow something to be proud of or to aspire to, I just don't buy in the slightest at all. It's just, I think it's cowardly, because anyone can do that. I could do that. I'm not a tough guy, but I can go into a park and chuck an elbow at somebody, safe in the knowledge that the worst thing that will happen to me is potentially a red card, and that as soon as I've chucked that elbow or stamped on the guy's knee, that the referee is going to stop anyone assaulting me or dishing out retribution to me. I think it's cowardly.
Yes, as a former cowardice, I've said that for a long time about football. That way, you can do something like that and have 20 people between you and the person that's going to absolutely leather you for it.
Yep.
And that is a form of cowardice when you do it that way. Whereas the kind of more manly approach is just to be that bit more physical and prove to the other guy, I'm bigger and stronger and better than you. That's how it should be. But I guess it's a British football thing, isn't it? It's it was that way for a long time. Wimbledon were sort of the end of it, I think. They took it to extremes at a time when everyone else was starting to kind of scale that back because the game was changing.
And it didn't last for them. That's the thing. It didn't last for them.
It didn't.
It worked temporarily, and then football moved past it. And I think if you look at, for instance, a club like Motherwell, where basically they've taken this and they're going to push it as far as they can, and a club like Kilmarnock, who brought in a football coach to coach them at football to be better at football, and Kilmarnock were physical in terms of they had Malumbu and Boyd and whatnot, but they weren't going to kick you off the park. They were going to try and beat you at football after matching it physically. There is a difference, and there's one that's admirable and there's one that's thuggish, and I think that theirs comes into the latter category. So we're going there now. The manager has said no fresh injury worries. Lasana Koulibaly of Heart and Hand fame will struggle to make it, which is unfortunate, but I think we would all agree that if he could make it back for Ufa and Parkhead, that would probably be more valuable to us. Kyle Lafferty back, and Lee Wallace on the bench last night. The manager spoken about adding his option. Now, his dispute with the club is not over. It hasn't been settled, but clearly something has changed, because if you go back right to the start of the season in Spain, the manager said that before Lee Wallace could be considered with the club, he had to sort out his dispute with the club. And it was well known that he was offered as a makeweight in the Kyle Lafferty deal. Now, I don't know whether it was he didn't want to go or Hearts didn't want to take him. I'm not sure. I suspect it's the former rather than the latter. But he definitely does seem to be back in contention.
Yes, he does. There's a slightly cynical part of me wonders if we as a club are treating him in the best way that we can because of the dispute, not because he's wanted to play. I could be wrong there. But so that's a cynic in me. Going by the comments that Gerrard has made from the start, he has suggested that a fully fit and motivated Lee Wallace would be an asset to the squad, and he would be. So taking it at face value, we've brought him back in, try to get him a feel for everything again. He's been training for a bit now. Gerrard said today he's miles away from playing, so I wouldn't expect to see him start anytime soon. But he would be an asset to the squad if we can keep him and get him back in there. As we've spoken about before, David, we don't want any ending of Lee Wallace's Rangers time to be acrimonious if we can help it.
Nope.
Because he kind of deserves a bit more than that. And, I'd certainly always kind of have a soft spot for him, even with everything that's happened recently. But there's just a slightly cynical part of me wonders if we're almost backing him into a corner by saying, well, look, we've put you back in the squad, we're not freezing you out here, etc., etc. So that, there's no kind of comeback on anything for regards to how we're treating them as an employee or something. That I think I'm probably wrong there, but it's just that thought occurred.
Well, I mean, also we're paying him a 5-figure salary per week. You might as well use them.
Yes.
That's just sheer basic practicalities. That at the end of the day, if that's money that's going out the club, you might as well get something back for it. Some news from the Rangers FCSLO, which of course is Greg Marshall, and he says information for people travelling to the game on Sunday. Flags, Motherwell moan a lot about their displays over the advertising, so watch out the stewards, if you place them over adverts, stewards might try to take them. There are scanners now in place at Motherwell, which sounds very space age, but it does hold you up entering the ground, so try and arrive early, which is difficult for a 12:15 kickoff. It's the same stewarding setup as the last time. There is free parking in the Civic Centre and smoking areas available at half-time, but probably the key thing is there are disruption to the trains services on Sunday. So if you are going by train, please leave extra time for your journey. Again, not easy with a 12:15 kick-off, but please be aware that that might be an issue. Alex, how do you think we will get on this Sunday?
2-0 win in a kind of tight match. Motherwell to come out, first 20-25 minutes, put us under it a bit. We'll ride that out and kind of come through it there. Don't suspect there'll be too many changes. I can see 2 or 3 at most to the team. So there might be a bit, we might be a bit leggy at times, but I think ultimately Motherwell have made a strange start to the season. They've been they get beat quite heavily by Hibs. They lost at home at Hamilton, which, to be honest, is a really poor result. And then got a 1-0 win away to Livingston in the cup there. They've not been in the best of form. I've just got a feeling they need it. They really need it, and they'll come out and look for the points. But I think they will just manage to scrape through almost with a 2-0 win. Not something pretty, but effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo that. I'm going to go for 2-1. I think they will chuck everything at us. They'll play it as if their lives depended on it, but I think we'll just have a wee bit too much for them. I expect Big Laugh to start, but apart from that, there's not really an awful lot of scope for changes. Might see Ross McCrory come in to the midfield.
Well, don't forget McCrory suspended.
Then you won't see Ross McCrory come back into the side.
Barisic is the only other change I can see.
Barisic will come back in, and I think Kyle Lafferty.
Funny feeling, Barisic in at left back and Lafferty in one of the wide areas is the 2 changes I kind of expect. The only other one really would be in midfield, where we might bring Halliday back in.
Yeah, could well happen.
Just for legs, but I don't know. That one's a bit longer shot for me, but I do suspect Laffy will get a start. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Big week, Alex. I mean, we've got 10 million reasons for needing to get through on Thursday night, and then obviously a trip to Parkhead, which is a massive chance for us to lay down a serious marker in terms of performance. Going to need some careful squad rotation.
Yeah, we're a little bit stretched, which is strange given the amount of midfielders we were talking about having at the start of the season, isn't it? But just the injury to Koulibaly and obviously McCrory's suspension, I don't know if that's 1 game or 2, I'm not too sure, but it just leaves things just that little bit stretched in terms of the squad. Jamie Murphy's injury has really hit the wide areas quite hard. So that leaves, Middleton impressed when he came on last night, but you don't think he's quite ready to start a big game yet, so that leaves that kind of one less option for rotation there. Yeah, we're asking a lot of players at the moment. This international break is coming up for the players who haven't been picked. You'd as well just letting them go and rest for a week because they're going to need it, I think. By the time that game comes up, that'll be 13 matches. Once we've finished this little run in a very short space of time.
Yeah, the international break probably not coming at the worst time for us, in all honesty. Okay, folks, thank you very much for joining us today. If you enjoy this and you want to hear more from us, apart from the 2 free weekly ones, please come to our Patreon site. It's patreon.com/Heart and Hand, where you'll get usually 4 but up to 6 shows per day on all things Rangers. Yes, for just $1.99 per month, practically giving this stuff away. Thank you to my guest today, the wonderful Mr. Alex Staff.
Thank you, David. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks to our producers in London, Mr. Mike Lee and Mr. Paul Myers. Check out our new website. It's at heartandhand.co.uk, and you can get in touch with me. It's david@heartandhand.co.uk. Nice and simple. So we will be back on Monday with a full breakdown of the Motherwell match. Until then, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.